Farage.
Thank you, Donald. And today, on my 53rd birthday, what better present could I possibly have than the announcement that the Home Office are putting out in 2019 for tender the design, production and personalisation of the UK passport. Now, what does this mean? What it means is we could get back blue-coloured passports rather than this horrid plum-coloured job. This plum-coloured job that I held up all through the campaign. Now, what first put me onto this? It was 1986. I'd been for my first ever visit to the Western Front battlefields. I'd been to Vimy Ridge, and I'd been with a guy called Bill Tapper. He was 93 years old, born in Battersea. He'd fought at Vimy Ridge with the Canadian Army, and he was a magnificent man, wearing his medals, his beret, remarkable bloke, sort of bit of living history with us on the bus. When we got back to Dover, 50 of us had to debus, and 49 of us went through a channel that was EC Nationals, and Bill had to queue up with the rest of the world. And I thought, what the hell is going on here? Now, you may say I'm being irrational and illogical, because by then, despite his birth in Battersea back in the 1890s, he was, of course, a Canadian citizen. But it made me realise there was something very odd about this EC, and then because it became EU citizens passport. And then 2 years later, our blue passport was withdrawn and the plum-coloured job came into effect. It's not the colour that got me, folks. It's the fact that the two first words on it are European Union. Now, I think I've got the most famous passport anyone's ever had in this country, because I held it up during every debate I did during the European Union referendum. And I think this news that we're going to get back British passports, that these two horrid words, European Union, are going to be expunged, and that we're going to go back to the 1988 style blue passport, which we'd had for about 70 years. I reckon this is all really seriously good news. But just to prove my consistency, this is me in the referendum campaign.
That is a British passport. You've all got one of them, but have you noticed what the first two words on it are? It says European Union. And there are 508 million people now entitled to have that passport, and they can all, if they wish, come to Britain. And I want to, after the referendum, make this a real British passport without the words European Union.
This should be a British passport. It says European Union on it, all right? I think, to make this country safer, we need to get back British passports so that we can check anybody else coming in. I really do.
We want our country back.
I want my passport back.
This is the last time in this campaign I'm going to do this. But we don't even have a British passport anymore. All right, we've got a European Union one. Well, to me, it summed up what the referendum was all about. It was about identity. It was about nationality. It was about borders. It was about who we are. None of that meant we're against people who have passports from different countries. I just wanted us to get back our own British passport. I want the words European Union expunged, and if it's blue, well, so much the better. Now, that may well be because I'm of a certain age. Well, today I certainly am. I'm 53. But I want to ask you, do you think, as I think, this return to a British passport is a big step forwards, or do you think I'm just a nostalgic old fool and that actually we're all world citizens and it shouldn't just say European Union, it should say the world? If you think yes, bring back the blue. This is a major step forward. Call me now on 0345 6060 973 if you think this move will send us back to the dark blue ages. Then, of course, you can text me on 84850. If you think there's nothing wrong with going backwards, as long as it actually works and means something, then tweet using the hashtag Farage and LBC at LBC. And you can, of course, watch all of this live from Strasbourg on LBC's Facebook page. And I'm going to go, without delay, to James in Birmingham. James, is this a joyous, happy announcement? Are we going forwards to a bright new future as British people in a global world, or are we going backwards to nostalgia?
Good evening, Nigel. Happy birthday. And
thank you very much.
I just wanted to say, yes, it's great. I generally do think it's great that we're going back to British passports, right? We really should. But I think it's like 490 million is costing. I think like we can prioritise that money somewhere else. But I generally do agree with that. We should have the passports back. Like,
well, James, you're quite right. I mean, the government are saying that this change will cost 500 million, but I don't know whether you've noticed, but actually we have to pay for passports. They aren't free. Yeah. So my guess is whatever it costs the government, we actually will pay for it anyway. So I don't think, I mean, I could be wrong, and if there is a sort of Home Office Johnny out there somewhere listening that wants to contradict me, please ring in. But it seems to me that passports are now really pretty expensive, and I don't think this actually is going to cost the taxpayer any money. And anyway, James, the contract on this current design was up anyway in 2019 by really happy coincidence. So what they're discussing now is to reintroduce the traditional Navy design with the iconic gold lion and unicorn royal coat of arms. And you know what, James? Without
it's going to be great.
Without the words European Union. How quickly will you apply, James? You know, if this comes into being in 2 years' time, would you be up for renewing your passport?
Right, honestly, I was gonna get my passport to go to Amsterdam with one of my friends from Wales, and to be honest, I'm not going to bother now because, like, what's the point of having a European passport? I may as well just wait till these new passports come out now. So, yeah.
So you want your passport back, James?
Yeah, well, I prefer a blue one, yeah. Preferably,
yeah.
I prefer blue than maroon anyway. It's an honourable colour out there. Yeah, but... yeah, honestly, I prefer a blue passport, and I just don't like the 500 million sound of it. Like, if you get
no. Well, I used this unashamedly during the referendum campaign, much to the dismay of many in the Liberal media. But you know what, James? We are winning. Thank you, Laura in Brixham. How do you feel about the potential return in 2 years' time of a blue British passport without the words European Union on it?
Good evening, Nigel. I think this is just a small issue. The thing is, do you realise, I'm sure you do because you're a very astute, clever gentleman, do you realise that there's forgeries going on and people will forge the passport, whatever it is? Do you realise there's a lot of forgery with passports?
Oh, Laura, I do, and certainly with ID cards, because I know that in many parts of London to have a drink now, you've got to prove you're 21, or in fact, do you know, to buy a packet of cigarettes now, you know, they won't sell it to you unless they think you're under the age of 25 for some bizarre reason. So, yeah, sure. I mean, you know, all ID systems, be they cards, be they passports, are vulnerable to forgery, and I get that, and I understand that. But what about, Laura, the principle that we ditch the maroon EU passport for British blue?
I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I'll tell you something. I think you're the only PM that's got any backbone and spine and intuition to get us where we are. You're the only person, Nigel, that's got us. And for God's sake, don't retire and leave us, because please see us through this, because all the others are a bunch of idiots. You're the only one with the intelligence. I'm sorry.
Laura, I promise you one thing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here tonight in Strasbourg. I mean, I wouldn't choose to spend my birthday in the European Parliament, but I'm here because on Wednesday here we've got the first big public speeches from all the major players discussing Brexit. And do you know what, Laura? They will say what they say, and I will then say what I say. I'm not going anywhere. And I thank you very much indeed for your call. Jason in Sutton, blue British passport, no words European Union. Step forward, step back.
Hi, Nigel. I hope you're not too drunk to have a sensible conversation on your birthday. I spent
not yet, Jason, but it's early, you know.
Well, I don't know. Last time we spoke, you spent all afternoon in the pub. But that's beside the point. The reason I'm calling is I spent 10 years living and working across the European Union. I lived in Slovakia, Poland. I lived in the Czech Republic. I worked in Serbia. I worked in many countries across there. My daughter, in fact, was born in the Slovak Republic while I was exercising my right to freedom of travel and movement across the EU. I worked hard. I earned a living. I paid my taxes in every country that I worked in. And why are you wanting and celebrating the fact that my daughter and her generation are not able to have exercised that same freedom of movement and the right to work without boundary in any country she wants to. I don't understand
so
that.
Jason, sorry, Jason, I missed something you said. So she was born in Czechoslovakia, was she?
Well, if you keep up to speed, Czechoslovakia...
So it split, didn't it? That's right. That's right. So it split. And in fact, it's... And Jason, it split over a weekend into the Czech Republic and Slovakia. And it did it peacefully and sensibly and in a grown-up way to give the two different peoples in what was a completely false state their own sense of identity. And today, well, apart from being in the EU, but apart from that, they're self-governing and they're good neighbours. And all I've ever advocated, Jason, is that we break from a false political union based in Brussels, govern ourselves, control our own borders. And you know what? Having our own passports doesn't stop us moving and living and working around the rest of Europe. Of course it doesn't. I mean, you know, it may mean there's one more... Well, of course it's true. Because, you know, you could, Jason, go and work in America tomorrow, but you'd need to get a work permit. You'd need to provide health cover. You know, we can move and work all over the world. The point about this is we're not saying having a British passport means goodbye to the rest of the world, but it does mean we get back our identity and a sense of belonging of who we are.
The way you do it, though, it's like you could be in Malta. You could be MEP representing Malta, for example, right? And you could be saying, oh, watch out for that United Kingdom. We should definitely leave the EU because we're members of the Commonwealth, we're members of the European Union. 65 million Britons are coming over to Malta. Be afraid, be very afraid. And that kind of scaremongering and fearmongering of people. You talk about 500 million Europeans coming over here. It's ridiculous. Of course they're not all going to come over here in the same way that 65 million people are not all going to, from Britain, are not all going to go to Malta on the same day. I mean,
but they could do.
Yeah, that you're instilling. Yeah, we could.
Jason, Jason, okay, Jason. I never said when Romania and Bulgaria joined that all 28 million would come tomorrow. What I said was they could come tomorrow. But answer me this. Is it reasonable, is it sensible, is it fair that we have 1 million Poles living in Britain and 30,000 Brits living in Poland?
You have to ask yourself about the economies of the country. We have immigration that fluctuates up and it goes down, exactly as David Davis says just recently. I mean, we need immigration in this country to support the economy. We have 4% unemployment in the UK. You're not listening. Let me finish.
Jason, I'm always listening.
I did.
Oh, dear. So if you disagree, you say it's not grown up. You say I'm drunk the last time I met you. You know, I mean, it's not very easy, this, is it?
It's not very easy if you're on the receiving end. You're right. Our economy relies on immigrant workers, migrant workers. We have 4% unemployment in the UK. It's very, very low in global standards for a developed nation. We have to have immigrant workers coming to the UK or migrant workers coming from other countries.
So why don't we, Jason, why don't we be more grown up then? I mean, let's follow your logic. Why don't we have unlimited immigration from the whole world? What about that?
That's exactly what we've got. We have a Home Office that stamps points-based visa systems on an Australian-style points-based visa system because not enough people come from the European Union to the United Kingdom to work. There's enough skilled people within the European Union. Not all of them want to come here. Not the 500 million people that you say could come here if they wanted to.
But the point about the referendum...
Some people do.
The point about the referendum, Jason, was taking back control and being able to make our own decisions. That's the point of the referendum. I'm not against immigration. I never have been against immigration. I'm for controlled immigration. But you know what? I'm really for blue British passports. Right now, you're listening to the Nigel Farage Show, exclusively at LBC. It's 7:16.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
Students at a British university told their essays will be marked down if they fail to use gender-sensitive language. Well, Jennifer Coates is a professor of English language and linguistics at the University of Roehampton.
The words we use form our view of the world, and if our view of the world excludes women, then that isn't good.
Don't you think you've got bigger things to think about than whether Nick Ferrari says the word workmanlike on the radio?
No. If the words you use create the world we're in, language is not innocent.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast every weekday morning from 7, only on LBC.
With Hampton by Hilton, now open in Aberdeen. Welcome to the meter cupboard at 49 Acacia Avenue. For years now, the Websters have been scrabbling around in the dark taking meter readings, trying to get Gaz and Lecky under control. Not anymore. They call their energy supplier to get a smart meter installed. From now on, they won't have to take a meter reading to get an accurate bill. Only your energy supplier can carry out your smart meter installation, so contact them today.
It started with a letter in the mail. And then another. That's when they started. Soon you hear her. And now you're just struggling and panicking and just... How did it get so bad? The more you hide from debt, the worse it becomes. Capitalise has been helping thousands of people across London manage their debt with free, impartial, face-to-face advice. Get help today at capitalise.org.uk.
Divorce. It affects every part of your life. You, your family, your home, your finances. And if you're a man facing divorce, perhaps even one you don't want, the situation becomes even more complicated. It's at times like these that you need a professional you can trust. Cordell & Cordell is dedicated to helping men in matters relating to divorce. Call now on 0330 60 60 161 or visit cordell.co.uk, office in central London. A partner men can count on.
Are you and your family passionate about Brexit? Channel 4's making a one-off special featuring two families from either side of the debate. If you're interested in getting involved, we'd love to hear from you. To find out more, visit our website brexitswap.co.uk. That's brexitswap.co.uk.
Westway. They're calling it expressive, energising, agile. The motoring press are loving the all-new Nissan Micra. We'd love to know what you think. It looks amazing. It's easy to drive, easy to personalise, and comes with up to £1,100 towards your finance deposit. Representative 3.99% APR subject to status. Make sure you're one of the first to test drive the all-new Micra. Come down to our launch weekend from Friday, April the 7th through to Sunday the 9th. To find your nearest Westway,
Google Westway Nissan today.
I know what the plough looks like in the night sky. I know how Eskimos kiss. I know a time when a mullet wasn't a fish. And I definitely know this piece of music. But I don't know my state pension.
There's a simple way to find out when you can get your state pension and how much it'll be. Search Your State Pension and get to know yours.
This is LBC, live from Strasbourg, the Nigel Farage Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
So the Home Office have put out to tender in 2019 a new passport design as part of a £500 million revamp of the British passport, because the trouble is we haven't had one. We've had a European Union passport for the last 25 years. I couldn't be more thrilled. I campaigned on it right through the referendum. I don't want the words European Union on it, and I'd rather, being of a certain age, well, today I'm 53, I'd rather have the blue job back. And this is eliciting huge passion and response. Some of your texts and tweets would love to see our blue passports back. If Cameron could have convinced the EU to let us have them before the referendum, there's a good chance Remain would have won. And that's from Keith, Brexit voter in Ilford. Keith, do you know what? Actually, I think you may be right. Because one of the reasons I used this passport all around the country is I found it absolutely got to people's hearts. A new passport. What a total waste of money, says Shovik in Elsham. Shovik, it's not the government that's going to pay. We're going to pay. Getting a new passport costs a lot of money. But I wonder whether the Home Office have considered that if they bring back a passport in 2019 without those words European Union and in the traditional navy blue colour, I wonder whether they anticipate the millions that will apply for this passport, even if theirs has still got 5, 6, 7, 8 years to run. Believe me, the morning the passport office opens in Victoria, I'm going to be there in the queue. Luckily for me, my one, this grubby little European Union one, runs out in 2020. So for me, the timing's quite good. But even if it wasn't, I would still be there. I'm asking you, is this a big step forward or is it a step back? And one of your tweets here says, probably a step back when the government tries to charge £80 to replace the current ones. Well, yeah, but you know what? Government actually now charges for almost everything. Another tweet, love it. History and tradition and nostalgia all have an important role in building a common identity. Is it nostalgia? Is it wrong to go back to something that worked so well for all those years? I don't think it is. As Stu Smith says, how will leaving the EU ruin our economy? Why would other EU countries not want to trade with us? Or is the UK... don't they want to make any money from us anymore? Of course they will. Sean Maxwell on Facebook just says, happy birthday. Sean, you're a star. I'd buy you one later if it wasn't in Strasbourg. And Ian Scott Horton says, well done, Nigel, for show your winning spirit. Don't let the Dream Stealers take an inch of it. Tell them like it is. Michael John Clarkson says, snowflake Nigel, cut him off, with reference to Jason. No, I enjoyed Jason. I thought Jason was great. And the point about this programme, not just my programme, but LBC as a talk radio station, and the reason I think that it's doing as well as it is it allows everybody to have their point of view. Talk radio in America is mega. And I think talk radio in the United Kingdom, frankly, is simply just beginning. It's one of the reasons I'm loving doing this every evening at 7 o'clock. Now, back to the calls. Robert in Watford is getting back a British blue passport without the words European Union on it, a step forward or a step back.
I'll be honest, I don't really think it makes a matters what colour it is, what it says on it. It does the same job. But what I was just going to say about the passport thing is, the tender goes out every 5 years, regardless of whether we were in or out. Sure. And you are right, the government don't pay for it. The company that puts the tender in pays for it because they make the money back over that 5-year period on the passports, obviously. Because you're looking at, they're shifting roughly 20 million or so, £100 a pop, you make your money back sort of thing. So, yeah, that was all I wanted to say. I mean, to be fair, you'd kind of cleared some of that up in between me phoning and me speaking to you and stuff. But yeah, like I said...
Well, Robert, I'm always reasonable, aren't I?
Well, you have your moments, mate, but I mean, to be fair, you do tend to deal more in feelings than facts. I mean, I know that's an easy thing to say, but I just think, like I said, with the way these deals are going on now, there's no point kicking hornets' nest, because you say you want power back and control, but when you look at it, there's 27 countries now, or 26, that are now going to decide the deal we've got. So I just think, honestly, is what we're needed now.
Listen, Robert, over the course of the next few days, we will be discussing the attitude of the other 27, or whether they are indeed 27 or 1, because Mr. Verhofstadt, who has appeared on LBC a few times over the last few months, and who I now want to make a superstar in Britain. I want the British people to see the true face of the European Union, and he's been telling us, you, United Kingdom, do not go behind our backs and talk to any one of the 27 member state governments, meaning he is the boss. If you're French, that's irrelevant. You're German, that's irrelevant. You're Italian, that's irrelevant. We are the masters now. And so, Robert, we will discuss all of this and tease this out over the course of the next few days. I think, actually, the European Union is riding for a fall. And do you know what? When we get back a British passport, the French will want one, and the Danes will want one, and the Germans will want one, because actually there's nothing wrong with having your own identity. You can be close to your neighbours and friendly with your neighbours, but there's nothing wrong with it. Also, Robert, I mean, how about this? You say you're not bothered, but when I get back into, an airport, Gatwick or whatever it is, wouldn't it be lovely to see a big sign that said United Kingdom Nationals? Wouldn't that be great?
I think, like I said, as long as it does the job, I really don't care if it's pink with green spots, All I think is that from both sides, we need to stop being children, stop the sabre rattling on both sides, and just deal with truth, deal with honesty, deal with facts, and stop trying to rile each other up. We've all got to get on at the end of the day. That may not be what some people want to hear, but it's easier to work together to achieve the one goal. That's all I'm saying.
Robert, you're a pragmatist, and I, like you, like facts too, but I'm perhaps a bit more of a romanticist, and I will apologise not at all for that. Well, thank you for your call. I'm going to go to Verrill in Dagenham. Good evening.
Good evening. I think
Good
Robert
evening.
was brilliant.
Yep.
I think Robert was absolutely brilliant. And I think you should be a sheep farmer. You've got a load of sheep following you around talking rubbish. I just renewed my passport.
I didn't know sheep could speak, Verrill, but...
£76.
Yes.
£76. It's only a year old. If you're going to pay for all these passports, I would gladly change it again, because I think the amount of money you earn traveling all over the world, conning people with rubbish, telling them about a piece of paper. It's a piece of paper. It's a piece of cardboard. It doesn't matter whether it's green, black, blue, yellow, whatever. You know who you are. You are British.
Right.
A piece of cardboard is not going to say you are not British. So what a load of rubbish that is.
So, Vero, you've been asked to pay...
If you're paying for it, all well and done.
No. But you've already paid for this plum-coloured job. So what's the problem when you come to renew that you will get a blue one? I'm not going to force you in 2019, and the government are not going to force you in 2019 to buy a blue passport for 76 quid or 86 quid or whatever it will be. But when your passport, I guess you've renewed for 10 years, as most people do, when your passport comes up for renewal, Vero, and you're asked to pay again, you'll be asked to pay a similar amount of money to get a new British passport. What is your problem?
I'll be dead by then. I'm 66 years old now. And you said they're already saying that we'll be too long, so hopefully I'll be dead by then. And you can keep...
Don't say hopefully you'll be dead. Goodness me. You could be alive and kicking for another 2 passports, couldn't you?
It's a passport. You've been telling people rubbish ever since I heard the name UKIP. All you do is talk a load of crap.
Well, thank you. It's very sweet of you. But you know, I have done my best, Vero. I mean, you know, whether you like it or don't like it, this stuff actually matters to me. And it matters to millions of people. And it mattered to 17.5 million people on June the 23rd last year. And I'll bet you, Vero, there's not a single one of them today who is not absolutely over the moon that we're going to get back a passport without the words European on it. And if we get a blue job back, so much the better. And you know what, Vero? Passports matter, flags matter, anthems matter, symbols matter. That's why the European Union have got their own flag and got their own anthem, because they wanted to impose upon us a completely false sense of identity. But we're not going to have that. We don't want that. We voted against it. We voted to get back our own identity. I'm sorry you disagree with everything I've said and tried to do. And please, Vero and all of you, you know, this time of the day, there are lots of youngsters listening. They often call in. Can we please kind of just moderate a little bit the language? Gosh, if I can do it, you can, I'm certain of it. Right now, you're listening to the Nigel Farage Show, exclusively here on LBC. It's 7:30 and time for the news with Rupert Barcia.
Russian officials say the explosion on the metro system in St. Petersburg was a terror attack. 10 people were killed, 50 others were hurt. A second device is reported to have been found and deactivated. The Prime Minister says she's focused on getting the best deal for Britain and Gibraltar during Brexit negotiations. It's after suggestions that the UK could go to war to defend the territory. And police investigating the attack on a teenage asylum seeker in South London have charged 2 more people. It's after 5 people appeared in court earlier in connection with what happened in Croydon on Friday. LBC weather. Cloudy overnight with showers spreading south and east, a low of 6 Celsius. Tomorrow overcast for most with a mix of the odd sunny spell and patchy rain, a high of 16 degrees.
LBC Travel. Good evening, I'm Andy Lake. Well, on the M25, anti-clockwise is queuing approaching a collision just before junction 10 for the A3 at the Wisley interchange. 2 of the 4 lanes there are closed. Delays back to junction 9 for Leatherhead. In Bedfordshire, the M1 is crawling northbound approaching junction 11 for Dunstable. The exit slip is down to just 1 lane following an accident there. The A24 in Tooting has been partially blocked by an accident at Coverton Road, both ways looking slow on the approach. In South Yorkshire, very slow coming along the M1 northbound after an accident just west of Barnsley earlier on. Still delays there between junction 36 and 37. As for the rail, severe delays on the Central line because of an issue with the signals at North Acton. And Greater Anglia have delays of just shy of half an hour from Liverpool Street to Hertford East and Bishop Stortford. That's also affecting Stansted Express. For more real-time traffic updates, go to lbc.co.uk.
This is LBC.
Here at the Claims Guys, we'd like to offer this assurance to anyone worried by the deadline on PPI claims. There is still time to make your claim. Our experts will work fast to discover if you were ever sold PPI. And once we've completed your free PPI check, you can then pursue your own claim or let us do it for you. It's your choice. Even if you can't find any paperwork, just text the word EASY to 60777 and let the Claims Guys do the rest. Text EASY to 60777 now.
The Claims Guys.
I know how to avoid a soggy bottom. I know the name of cinema's most famous white shark. I know all the things you can do with a Maris Piper. And I definitely know the TV show that made this music famous. But I don't know my state pension.
There's a simple way to find out when you can get your state pension and how much it'll be. Search Your State Pension and get to know yours.
The secret's out. Ray Morris Automatic Cars have been selling cars for over 50 years. With ultra-low mileage automatic cars from £5,000 to £25,000, they have the make and model to suit your budget. Ray Morris Automatic Cars in South East London, 10 minutes from the Dartford Tunnel. With over 300 automatic cars actually in stock, buy one today and drive it away. AutomaticCarSpecialist.com, the not-so-secret home of automatic cars.
If you own a Swiss watch and it's time to sell it, speak to watches.co.uk. The whole process runs like clockwork. Rolex, Patek Philippe, Omega and more. It only takes a couple of ticks and we pay immediately. Or if you just fancy a change, we could take yours in part exchange. From time on your hands to money in your pocket, it couldn't be easier with watches.co.uk. The pre-owned Swiss watch specialist.
Come and experience Lebanese dining at Marouche Restaurants. Try some of our amazing dishes, kafta dipped in a delicious hummus, or a colourful meze, complemented by a robust Lebanese red. With live music and traditional belly dancing, enjoy an atmosphere to match the food's rich and distinctive flavours. Go to marouche.com to find out more. Marouche Restaurants, the finest Lebanese food across London.
This is LBC, live from Strasbourg, the Nigel Farage Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
In 2019, we're going to get back the British passport. The words European Union will disappear, and we're even going to get blue passports back, those that were abolished back in 1988. And I do accept you have to be of a certain age to remember that. I'd know, as I'm 53 today. But before we get back to that, just a little thought. So, the European Union's guidelines for Brexit say, in these negotiations, the EU will act as one. There will be no separate negotiations between individual member states and the UK on matters pertaining to the withdrawal of the UK from the EU. So what they're saying is that normal diplomatic relations have ceased. We can't speak to France or Germany or Italy or anybody because they no longer exist. The European Union has effectively replaced all of them in terms of trade talks, foreign policy talks and everything else. Mr. Guy Verhofstadt, and you're going to hear more about him this week, particularly after he and I have a furious exchange on the floor of the European Parliament on Wednesday, who was the European Parliament's chief negotiator, says, we do not want Britain going behind our backs to the member states, namely the member states are as nothing compared to him and the importance of these institutions. But there is an exception to all of this. Yes, it's called Spain. Because in clause 22 of the draft agreement for these negotiations, it says, no agreement between the EU and the United Kingdom may apply to the territory of Gibraltar without the agreement of the Kingdom of Spain. What an inconsistent bunch of hypocrites these people are. What they're actually doing here is they're making a deliberate attempt to ruin negotiations before they even start. How can it be that Spain could veto a trade deal, that Spain could stop the whole thing from happening unless we give them back Gibraltar? It shows you the complete anti-Britishness that I've been saying for 20 years exists within this place. It is, as far as these talks are concerned, a disaster. And it was Donald Tusk, you know the chap, the sort of shy-looking fella who took the Article 50 letter last week and looked like he was about to cry. I think Tusk is a fool to have written this in to the process. Frankly, this is a very low-grade form of bullying, and you know what? We are not going to put up with it. Lord Howard, yesterday, a former Tory leader, said that Mrs May would show the same resolve defending the Rock as Mrs Thatcher did over the Falklands. Theresa May argued today it's definitely jaw-jaw, meaning Michael, we're not, looking to send gunboats. Money, we've got some there already. Do you know what? Both are right. Both are right. There is no way the United Kingdom will betray Gibraltar, 97% of whom wish to retain their British identity. But I would say in terms of these negotiations, in terms of this whole process that is set to last for the next couple of years, Donald Tusk and co have made an absolutely catastrophic error. We are not some little nation that's going to get bullied around by overpaid, unelected bureaucrats. We will simply not put up with it. And I've tried to say that in as least hawkish tone as I can possibly find, but it ain't going to happen. And isn't it funny? They're actually prepared here to play dirty with us, to try to bully us, to do it over Gibraltar, to send us a bill for 52 billion quid, which can't possibly be justified. If they don't want a deal, tell us now, save us 2 years, we'll simply walk out tomorrow and revert to World Trade Organization rules. We'll stop paying £30 million a day net into their club. If that's what they want, please come clean. Now, back to the issue that we're debating today, the return of the British Blue Passport. And I'm asking you, is it a step forwards or a step back? I can't pretend for one moment to have any degree of neutrality on this, because I campaigned right round the country during the referendum, lifting up my plum-coloured EU passport. I did it on the top of buses. I did it in an LBC debate with that charming fellow, Lord Heseltine. I did it with Andrew Neil on the BBC. I did it everywhere. To me, the passport is the symbol of identity and of nation. I don't think we're being nostalgic. I don't believe we're going backwards. I think we're doing the right thing. I think we're doing what over 200 countries in the world do, which is to have their own passports and their own identity. Some don't agree with me. I wonder how Iris in Thetford feels on this issue.
Hello, Nigel.
Good evening.
Happy birthday to you. It's a real pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
And I agree with you, actually. I'm not going to be a snowflake. I'm as you've had several snowflakes already. So I think we need a bit of balance here.
Absolutely, Iris. Give me some balance. Come on.
Well, I think it's more than a little blue book. I think I'm quite heartened, actually, by the fact that the government is going to do this. I'm a bit surprised, really, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yes, it is. Maybe, Iris, it was lucky that the current tender came up for renewal anyway in 2019. But I agree with you. I've been quite critical over the last couple of weeks of their lack of defence of British fishing waters, of their acceptance of, the European arrest warrant, the European police force. I've been worried about weakness, perhaps, over free movement. A lot of things are worrying me, but symbolically, when I saw this over the weekend, like you, I was very pleasantly surprised. Perhaps they mean it, Iris.
Yeah, hopefully they do mean it. I think they are being dragged kicking and screaming into Brexit, but we sort of see them slowly going in our direction, Nigel, and I hope they continue it. But what surprises me is we've still got so many people, as you've had on your programme tonight, who are saying, we need all these people coming into the country because, we're not going to have enough people to do the jobs. We need all these unskilled people.
Yeah.
These people, I feel very sad because we've got so many young people that actually are not in work, that are claiming benefits. And maybe they're just learning the wrong skills or not actually learning any skills at all to benefit us.
Iris, the education system has not been encouraging vocational training. We've been told to get ologies, and that's where everything ends, which clearly is wrong. But also, Iris, since 2004, everyone from Tony Blair and even actually once Boris Johnson said, the British youth are lazy, drunk, fat and useless. What a dreadful thing to say about your own people. And I've been around this country. Very few people have travelled more around the country than me. And you know what? There are lots of young people out there who now feel discriminated against getting jobs in their own country, and it's wrong. Iris, if in 2019 you're told next Wednesday you can go to Victoria and queue up to get a blue British passport without the words European Union on it, will you be in the queue with me?
I'll be right there, Nigel. Unfortunately, I've just 2 months ago renewed my passport, so now I'm thinking, no.
But then okay, Iris. So you've got a 10-year passport, yeah?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So would you, in 2 years' time, be prepared to spend some money to get a blue passport?
Yes, absolutely.
Well done, you. You're a star. Iris, thank you. Texts and tweets. Yes to getting a British passport. Not bothered about the colour. It's irrelevant as long as it doesn't have European Union written on it anywhere. Anonymous, I agree with that. Nigel, I don't believe any of this rubbish in the Mirror this morning. Mike, oh gosh, this is about me meeting some woman on a plane who claims X, Y and Z. You know, I'm not the sort of chap that goes in for public displays, but you know what? The one thing I tell all of you, being famous has its upsides, but some pretty huge downsides as well. So, you know, who can I trust? Who can I talk to? Who can I have a drink with? It's not always that easy, but there are good bits too. Patricia says, I want my blue passport back. Patricia, it's coming. Peter Barnett says, it's wrong that we should have to pay to change the passport. And no, Peter, you're not going to be forced, right? You're not going to be forced to change this plum-coloured job for the new blue job in 2019 until your passport expires, when actually you would have to have paid anyway. So don't worry about that. Adi Radner says, hi, Nigel. Do I need to change my EU passport before it runs out in 4 years' time? The answer is no, Adi, you don't. You know, but as and when it comes, you will substitute this ghastly thing with a proper British passport. Devsky Jachana says, happy birthday, Mr. Farage. Thank you. Diana Breeze says, happy birthday, Nigel. Wish you a lovely day. Enjoy. May all your dreams come true. Do you know what, Diane? One of my dreams was that we'd actually get back a British passport, and it looks like that's actually going to happen. I'm a very, very happy bunny. Right now, you're listening to The Nigel Farage Show, exclusively on LBC. It's 7:45.
Coming up at 8 on LBC, Clive Bull.
Credit card firms have been told they must do more to help millions of customers who just can't clear their debt. Do they make it too easy to get into debt?
Clive Bull on LBC.
Here at the Claims Guys, we'd like to offer this assurance to anyone worried by the deadline on PPI claims. There is still time to make your claim. Our experts will work fast to discover if you were ever sold PPI. And once we've completed your free PPI check, you can then pursue your own claim or let us do it for you. It's your choice. Even if you can't find any paperwork, just text the word EASY to 60777 and let the Claims Guys do the rest. Text EASY to 60777 now.
The Claims Guys.
Are you and your family passionate about Brexit? Channel 4's making a one-off special featuring two families from either side of the debate. If you're interested in getting involved, we'd love to hear from you. To find out more, visit our website brexitswap.co.uk. That's brexitswap.co.uk.
Whether you're looking to get to Barnet with the wind in your hair or to hammer down to Hammersmith, if Piccadilly's like a circus, or you need to trim your time to Shepherd's Bush, when you want to wing it to the Angel and beat the herd to the Elephant and Castle. Whether it's tapping into the knowledge or breezing down the bus lanes, no one knows London like black cab drivers. My Taxi, the black cab app.
The secret's out. Ray Morris Automatic Cars have been selling cars for over 50 years. With ultra-low mileage automatic cars from £5,000 to £25,000, they have the make and model to suit your budget. Ray Morris Automatic Cars in South East London, 10 minutes from the Dartford Tunnel. With over 300 automatic cars actually in stock, buy one today and drive it away. AutomaticCarSpecialist.com, the not-so-secret home of automatic cars.
It started with a letter in the mail. And then another. That's when they started. Soon you hear her. And now you're just struggling and panicking and just, how did it get so bad? The more you hide from debt, the worse it becomes. Capitalise has been helping thousands of people across London manage their debt with free, impartial, face-to-face advice. Get help today at capitalise.org.uk.
Are you confused about PPI? At PPI Hotline, we want to give you the facts. There is absolutely every reason to check you had PPI. Even if you think you never have, we can help you find out, as you could be owed thousands. And now there's a deadline. We just need the name of the bank you've had loans or credit cards with, and we'll check for free. So find out now if you're owed by texting WIN to 83222.
PPI Hotline. Text WIN to 83222.
The Nigel Farage Show, live from Strasbourg, only on LBC.
We're going to get rid of the plum-coloured European Union passport that masqueraded as being British. We're going to get back a British blue passport in 2019. That's what the Home Office have said over the course of the weekend. It's a £500 million post-Brexit redesign, back on more traditional lines. And I'm asking you, is that a step forward or a step back? My views on this are really very well known. I wonder what Alan in the beautiful county of Antrim thinks of this proposition.
Good evening, Nigel.
Good evening.
Happy birthday to you. Many happy returns of the day, sir.
Well, that's very kind. Now, what about this passport, Alan? Come on.
Right. Wait, the passport. Well, obviously we're leaving the EU, so we can't continue. In fact, I don't see why we would want to continue using the plum-coloured one that is to be used by all EU countries. So definitely we go back to our own distinctive passport, something that reflects our country, our nationality, and even to a degree our heritage. The only thing is, Nigel, why do we have to wait to 2019? I would have thought if we're leaving in March of 2019, we should really be starting to have and use our new distinctive United Kingdom passports from March of 2018. Surely it couldn't take that long to set up a new passport.
Well, we won't actually have left until 2019. So I'm not going to split hairs over it. But look, it must be a good thing, mustn't it? And by the way, as you're in County Antrim, it will of course say the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You won't be excluded, Alan, all right?
Oh, definitely not. Having said that, to solve the little matter that you're discussing earlier about Gibraltar, I think Gibraltar should have a referendum as to whether or not Gibraltar wants to join the United Kingdom. So then our new passports could be the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland and Gibraltar.
Do you know what? I am with you 100%. Do you know, a few years ago, I was in Malta for their referendum on joining the European Union, and this is pertinent to Malta and Gibraltar. And I met the late, great Don Mintov, the most famous malt that has ever lived. And I'd kind of grown up thinking that Don Mintov was anti-British because his supporters had thrown rocks at British soldiers and everybody else. And he told me, no, young man, you've got this all wrong. He said, in 1957, I met Harold Macmillan in Downing Street, and I said, I want Malta to become part of the United Kingdom. We would have 3 members of Parliament. We'd have the National Health Service. In return for that, you would have the naval base strategically in Malta. They actually wanted to be part of our country, and Gibraltar at that time would have taken the same deal. And the French did this with some of their islands, and we, moronically, the Foreign Office, never got anything right for 100 years in my view, said no to it, and that's why the Maltese actually turned against us. And I actually think, Alan, that the way out of this and the message to send the Spanish, who frankly wouldn't know how to play with a straight bat if they saw one, is, I couldn't agree more, make Gibraltar an integral part of the United Kingdom, and I thank you very much for that point. Clive says on a tweet, can I just put a blue cover on it? Sorted. Clive, I tried that. So back in the late 90s, I mass-produced passport covers. So the old blue cover into which the plum job fitted, all of which was going well until the Lord Chamberlain's office contacted me and said if I sold any more, I would face criminal prosecution. So at that moment, I stopped pretty sharpish. Sherry Wade says on Facebook, I like the ring of Sir Nigel Farage. Maybe that will be a birthday present one day. Thank you for your courage and boldness. No chance. Mark Coffey says, we spend 500 million on blue passports. Let's just save it all for the NHS. Yes, but Mark, as a previous caller explained, this money is not going to be taxpayers' money. We're paying 76 quid now for passports, more for emergency passports. This will not cost the taxpayer money. Jackie Morris says, a British passport would be good, but I would rather be able to get the ultrasound scale I've been waiting for so long. It's the same answer, Jackie. This is not going to cost the government money. We are paying for this, just as we pay for the BBC licence fee and many other things. The government taxes us for many things that we do. I'm going to go to Thomas in Wembley. Thomas, a blue British non-EU beautiful passport, in my view. A step forwards or a step back?
Hi, Nigel. I'm 18 and I voted for the first time in the EU referendum last year. Unlike most people my age, I actually voted to leave.
Very good.
And personally, I think this is, although I voted to leave, I differ with you opinion-wise on many things, but I think this is a complete non-issue, to be fair. I couldn't really care what colour my passport is. I couldn't care if it was pink, if it was yellow, if it was green, or if it went back to the old navy that I've personally never seen. And I know you've said that it will come out of our pocket as we pay for them, but I haven't actually seen anything published on the government's behalf that says this. I was under the impression that the 490 million was for the complete redesign, because we all know that government contracts cost God knows what, that they shouldn't cost.
But Thomas, come on. Redesigning a passport might cost a few tens of thousands, but it wouldn't cost 490 million, would it?
Well, there's nothing that says that it's coming out of our pockets so far.
We
don't personally believe much you say, but
we already pay, Thomas. We already pay. I mean, look, I get your point. About colour, which is why I've said twice tonight that maybe the blue colour is a nostalgic point for middle-aged and older people like me. However, the important thing, Thomas, and I think one of the reasons that you may have voted Brexit is that it won't have European Union on it and be available to 508 million people. Isn't that the point?
Possibly, yeah, but I can't really see it as an issue. I mean, there's a lot better things that we could be investing our time into rather than talking about a passport, isn't there? I mean, is this really...
Yeah, but symbols matter. Symbols matter, Thomas. You know, passports matter. Flags matter. Look, the reason we've got European Union on this is because the European Union recognise that symbols matter, and they forced us to change the colour of our passports, to put these words on, and to make the controls when you come back into British airports open to all EU nationals. They realise here how much it matters. Goodness me, I've sat in that chamber many times when the European anthem starts to play and they all stand ramrod to attention, apart from me. And I stand up and turn my back, and they don't like it. Thomas, we're going to get British passports. I cannot expect you to agree that blue is the right thing to do because, you know, this was abolished almost 20 years before you were born. But Thomas, let me ask you one quick question. What was the main reason, aged 18, that you voted for Brexit?
Well, for me, it wasn't anything to do with the economy or anything. I personally voted for democracy. I voted. I didn't think the EU was democratic, so to me, democracy comes before economy. So. Yeah,
no, Thomas, listen, mate, you were absolutely 100% right. And as you grow older, you're going to live in a country where how you vote in general elections will fundamentally change your life. Because for the last few years, I'm afraid to say, we've been voting for a change of management, not for a change in government. Thomas, thank you very much indeed for your call. Andy in Bromley. Andy, do you want the blue job back or not?
Good evening, Nigel.
Good evening.
I'm afraid I agree with the last caller, and that really is not the topic of conversation for me at the moment. It is the last thing on my mind is the colour of a passport. What is important, as I see, is the value of the pound that has now plummeted. I see what it's going to cost me and friends and many others who choose to go away, and it is our luxury each time of year, having gone to France twice last year, to see it's probably nearly cost me a third more. I also worry about the value of my pension. I worry about the 2 years that are coming up. We haven't really even begun this process.
Hang on, Andy. Whoa. The value of your pension, the stock market's at an all-time high.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
No, it may be, but the uncertainty that is coming, and this has gone through waves and dips. We already know that.
What the uncertainty of a bull market?
Nigel, I run a very large business. I involves people from many European countries. What I see was a country doing exceptionally well. I saw more money in my pocket. I saw an economy booming, and we were part of a bigger organisation. And a trade, doesn't matter what we say about trade, it is 20 miles from us. We have an array of countries. Now, whether we like it or not, we've now set that apple cart completely upside down on flying the flag. I've always been British. I know where I stand. I didn't need the European Union to tell me that. But what I have done now is cut my nose off to spite my face because of a wonderful person like yourself who is a great...
Andy, mate, we were doing okay. We're now doing better. And I would ask you to think about the point that 85% of the world is outside the European Union, and that's the bit that's growing, not the bit that's contracting. The pound was falling years before we voted for Brexit. And by the way, folks, a tip for all of you. Sterling is going up. Sterling dollar, sterling euro are at their lows. They're going higher. Now, look, my final thought on all of this is, of course, hooray. I was laughed at for holding up my passport, for saying I wanted to get back a British passport. It is now going to happen. I'm happy. Like most of you, I don't really care what colour it is, although being of a certain age, blue is great. It's getting the words European Union off that really matters. We voted to get back our country. We voted to get back our passports. We voted to get back our individuality as to who we are as a proud, great nation. And this weekend, we took a step in the right direction. You've been listening to the Nigel Farage Show on LBC. I'm back tomorrow here in Strasbourg from 7. Coming up at 10, it's Ian Collins. But up next, it's Clive Bull.
Thank you, Nigel. So at 9, we have the